What is up, guys? So we're over here in Friendswood, and one of the scariest things about, real estate investing is getting tagged, right? Is getting permitted. And I'm one of the first people who can admit that I used to do this back in the day. I would just kind of start the work and wait until you get caught, essentially, because it wasn't much more punishment, and it was pretty much the same process going through it. So I've got these guys over here. We did a video with them a few days ago, these two 19-year-old investors, and they were just barreling through this property, man. They were going to have it done in 30 days or less, full rehab. And then what happens is the other day on the weekend, I believe, going through, and boom, they got tagged. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm waiting over here for Harrison. We're going to walk this property together, go over a couple things related to permitting and what's the plan now. And then stay tuned, guys, because at the end of the video I've got my #1 contractor who I use personally and who we recommend out a lot to kind of go over everything regarding permits and what he sees and the process. So anyone who's getting into house flipping and you're a little bit nervous about the permitting process, that should put your mind at ease. And yeah, guys, it's nothing really to be scared of if you understand the process. But yeah, hang tight. We're going to speak here to Harrison, and we're also going to speak to Mike and break everything down for you.
It's been how long since you came? First time?
Maybe 3 weeks.
Yeah, about 3 weeks. They're at the point with the roof where they're just waiting on shingles. So once the shingles get here, they're going to get all that done. All the windows have been installed. If you want to, we can walk to the back.
So more than likely it was the roof that they spotted.
Yeah, I would imagine. Sitting undone, yeah.
It's always the exterior stuff.
Yeah, and then he had walked in, of course. So yeah, they got all the siding done. They got most of the stuff done other than like the finishing touches inside. They didn't say anything about our fence that we have halfway done.
Well, you won't need to permit the fence unless it's too high.
Unless it's too high?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I believe it's...
Okay. They got all the painting here done.
What's up?
Redone these doors.
Yeah.
What else have they done? Painted all this. I think they painted everything. And they got the restrooms done too.
What's that?
Looks like they got the restrooms done. I don't know if we have a light in here. There we go. Oh, like I was doing something and David, contractor, called me and he was like, "Hey, I need you here now, hurry."
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And ended up, yeah, the guy was here walking through and red tagging us.
All right, guys, we've got Mike here, and I've known Mike for many years, but I don't want to mispronounce your last name.
Gautreaux.
Gautreaux. I always say Gautreaux. So yeah, I've known Mike for a long time, but Gautreaux, okay. Which is what? Was it Cajun?
Cajun, yep.
Yeah, sounds
Yeah,
it.
French.
So Mike has done a lot of properties for me personally, and a lot of our borrowers. They're the company we recommend out here in Houston, and we've been dealing with this a long time and continue. And I think it's kind of an ever-changing landscape with the permitting process. I know back like in 2017 when Harvey happened, and it was a little bit more lax, but it seems to be that the cities jump on these permits a little bit quicker. So, are you kind of seeing that, Mike? That it's they're getting a little bit more bureaucratic with the permitting process?
Yeah, I mean, in the past, you always wanted to play the ask for forgiveness thing, which is you go in, you just start with the house, you do your thing, and then if they catch you or if they come by and say something, you ask for forgiveness and you get things right with them. Now it's more, it just needs to be done. You need to go to them up front. You need to let them know what you're planning to do. Some of them are tough on you. They'll have certain requirements, things that they'll want you to do. They may want you to rewire an entire house that you hadn't planned on. Those types of things do happen. But mostly, if you're just up front with them, let them know you want to remodel it, get a few things in there for the permitting process. It actually goes a lot smoother. So yeah, we are finding them to be a little bit easier to work with. I mean, I'm even working with some guys who used to work out of Galveston, and they're in Hitchcock now, and they're just inspectors. I mean, these guys, they stay in a tight little group. They move around, and if they go to a different job, it might just be a couple towns away, and they're working for the next city. So getting to know those guys definitely helps.
Do you feel that if you get caught doing the permit or doing the work before the permit, it can make them a little bit less willing to work with you,
Yes.
afterwards.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's just one of those things you learn over time that they just don't like it, and they will get to know who you are. They'll notice you from one town to the next. And yeah, it just makes it harder. It's easier to go in there and just say, hey, this is what I'm planning to do on this house. They already know who I am. And it makes the process go easier.
Absolutely. And in terms of the, because we do have borrowers right now who always try to get the work started before pulling permits, and it helps because they can get everybody in there and they're just gung ho. They're just doing absolutely everything. They've got 20 bodies there doing all the work, and then bam, they get tagged, and then they got to tell everyone to go home, right?
Right.
So, is there any way that you can expedite? And I know that each city has its own kind of processes and systems. Obviously, Harris County is the big one, so there's a lot more
Right.
Systematic with the way that you do it. But is there anything you can say which would speed up the process if you're going to do things the correct way, that you don't have to kind of miss out on the timing side of it?
Yeah, I mean, if you know you're going to be getting the house, once you know that you're going to actually close and everything on it, you can get the process started. You don't necessarily have to go in there and pay for all these permits, but the paying for the permit is not the hardest part. The getting the approval is the hardest part. So going in early and getting to the city and giving them all the paperwork and all the information, everything they want, and getting yourself right up to the point where you're ready to pay, and then wait to make sure the house closes, so that you're not just paying for a whole bunch of permits that never even come to fruition. That I'm finding is a better way to do that. Get in there, be ready for it, and as soon as the home closes and you've got the okay to get in there and start doing the work, then you go ahead and pay for your permits, and you move forward from there. And you always ask for the big things. I mean, they're not so concerned. They're concerned about you making the house bigger or changing the footprint of the plan. So if you're not doing those things, the permits are relatively easy. It's roofs, it's leveling of foundation, it's replacing siding, those types of things.
Mm-hmm. So kind of the structural permits are the ones that will normally get you for the timing.
Yeah, and that's going to get you timing wise on that. I mean, and then what you do is, if you know you're going to do something structural, well, then you still get the other permits that you need. You still ask about house leveling. You still ask about siding. You get those permits approved, so that you can start working on that portion of the home while they're approving the expansion or the change in the actual product.
That's a good idea.
That definitely helps to do that. Just be proactive. That's really the big thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good idea, because I see a lot of times that everything will stop until they get the permits. So what you're saying is you can still do other elements of the project while you're waiting for the for the permits that you still require to be approved.
Right. Okay. I mean, we have one right now where we had to get a stamp for the leveling of the home, and we're still waiting on that, but I got the approval for the roof, and we were able to get the roof part done and get to work on the other things inside the home. And it's going to save us weeks in time, definitely.
Okay, awesome. And in terms of the cost, what generally what do you estimate for the cost of if you permit the job correctly, like you're going to do it from the very start? What would you kind of estimate the cost compared to if you get caught 3 weeks into doing the project?
Well, it really depends upon what you're actually doing or what you get caught not permitting. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, they'll tell you they're going to double their fees.
Okay.
So they'll say something along the lines of, if it's $50 or $100 normally just to get a permit for floodplain development or roofing or siding, then they'll double that. The most important thing is just be real upfront with them. And the more that you're honest with them, the nicer they're going to be to you. And I had one recently that we started without a permit, and I was able to get all of the permits intact, and it didn't cost me anything extra. I was just super nice with them. I told them, hey, one of our guys got out there and got started before he was supposed to. Just let them know what happened, and they were super nice about it. Didn't charge extra. But you're probably looking at Depending upon the city and depending upon the change, $50 to $150 for the permit. In the city of Houston, it's going to be more because they require so many more little things. It might be $500 to $800. I mean, a new home. If you were to have actually demolish what's on site and decide to build something new, it could cost you $4,000 or $5,000 for all of the permits to be able to come through, and that's everything from plans, development, everything that you'd be doing.
And the kind of the systems, depending on which county you're in, some of them can be a little bit more difficult to navigate through. Like if you're a first time house flipper, and you're trying to navigate through the permitting process in Harris County compared to Brazoria County, it's kind of apples to oranges.
Yeah, Brazoria County is going to be a little bit easier. I mean, they're going to have their specific things that they want, just like the work that we're doing in Hitchcock and Santa Fe, as compared to how that would be in Houston. But even Harris County, once you get used to it, if you're proactive and you send those things to them, depending upon how backed up they are, the smaller cities will be faster than Harris County would be, just to get the approval. But the process is similar. Everybody has systems that are online now. They really don't even like you to come in and meet with anybody. They want to do everything online.
Yeah, unless you're a little municipality and they don't even have a computer to share between three of them. So, then you gotta fax it.
yeah. And they're even getting more online. I mean, some of the really small municipalities are all online now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What's your so we had one, maybe see what yours is, in terms of doing a lot of the work without having permitted and then getting caught kind of in the final stages.
Right.
We had one in Dickinson many years ago where it was 100% rehabbed and then with no permits. And the neighbor had cut the electrical line somehow, and CenterPoint came out and they pulled the meter off the property, requiring a permit to get the new meter. And then when the city found out that it was rehab, this has to do with here in Houston, we have a lot of flooding. There was a rule implemented by the county that properties had to be raised if there was a certain amount of budget spent over the tax value. So the investor nearly gotten a big issue because now they were saying, well, you rehabbed all of this without permits and you should have lifted the property. So I don't know if you've seen any horror stories of completed properties which might have, because they didn't permit, caused an issue, or even when they sell the property and there's been or there's been an inspection on the property and the inspector saying, hey, was this permitted? And they obviously can't show proof of that. Have you seen some of those?
I've seen some. I've never seen some that they've held. They threaten to, make you raise it or make you tear it down. In most cases, they really don't want to do that. They just want to scare you. They want to charge you a bunch of extra money for the permits. They could make you come in. I've had a situation where they made you come in and literally pull sheetrock off the wall and show them what's going on behind it. How was it done? How was the process? Was it done per code, even though it wasn't done per permit? But yeah, it definitely can be real scary when they come to you and tell you that you have to raise your house that you just remodeled, and and they're going to charge you $200,000 to do it.
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes it's better to also do the due diligence on the property before you buy it. That you want to make sure what is going to need to be permitted and what's the process going to be for this particular project. But
exactly.
Awesome. So nothing really to be too scared about. Just got to understand the processes, and really it doesn't seem like the cost is the biggest issue. It's more of the timing that you can get delayed if you don't understand the process. You get red tagged during it, and your contractor might not know, how to deal with it, because we do get a lot of contractors who will, they'll come in and say, well, we'll do it on the weekend, right? And we won't get caught. And they don't really understand how to do the process if they get caught, and then you're kind of having an issue with your contractor because now you're telling them, well, I don't know how to get permits. You got to do them. They don't know how to do them. So
right. Well, and yeah, the weekend thing really doesn't work much anymore. So many of these municipalities have figured that out, and they just send people out over the weekends. I mean, we recently had one that it was a Sunday when the chief of the police actually came out.
Yeah.
And so, he was actually standing in for the guys that were doing the permitting process, but that they check it any time. I mean, it's like I said, now it's kind of shifted. I've been doing this for a long time. Years ago, you'd ask for forgiveness, just get in there and get rolling. Today, you want to be proactive and just get your permit.
Awesome.
It's better.
All right, man. Well, I'll drop your number below for anyone in the Houston market they want to reach out. And appreciate it.
All right. Thanks,
All right,
Joe.
man. Thanks.
Take care.